Okay, the Earth changes in a big way about 600,000 years ago. It becomes a place that harbors the means for bacteria and algae, but it doesn't really get a kicking till about 600,000 years ago, when more than likely what happened was a global ice age that lasted millions and millions of years, and then global warming, because luckily we have manta, the magma, the hot, burning, bubbling, red hot. Anybody that thinks the planet is hollow is an idiot, by the way. Anyhow, 600,000 years ago, luckily, the planet was not hollow, or it would have been frozen forever. And hollow planet, I don't think you'll find one of those ever. How can you have a hollow planet? It would crush in on itself. Get real. So we got a thin crust. And we've always got volcanic action. And luckily, of course, when you've got a world covered in ice and volcanoes are spitting out their what do they spit out? Carbons and stuff. You get your greenhouse effect. And it took a long time, but it doesn't matter. The Earth's got a lot of time. And then you get your global warming. And shortly after this, what's a million years to a planet that's a billion years old? Or 4 at that time. And then suddenly you've got global warming. The whole place gets hot and the whole place gets full of storms. And you've got yourself a high-speed evolution, which almost seems completely insane. I mean, what's the hurry? Well, the hurry is there's a will. Suddenly and it's not coming from behind. It's the way the universe is, but it's becoming more and more. The more we evolve, lust is will. So sexual lust is part of your will, and everything has this. Everything has this lust in your deepest core of your being, your desire to procreate. Every creature has this, and this is part of. I mean, this is Freud. Freud was trying to say the same thing. I think. I don't know. I never read Freud, but I heard about him. What was the point? So the point is, you're going from one side to the other, and that's very quantum. Oh, wait a second. Where were we? It's consciousness, awareness of being. The universe doesn't really exist, or it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's the tree in the forest falling and nobody heard it story. The universe doesn't really matter until we say it does. And I don't mean that we judge it and look at it and say, okay, it's alright. I mean, if we like ourselves at all and realize that we're in the universe, then we're going to say, hey, this is a fucking cool thing. But if we're not here, then there's nobody to really see how excellent the universe is and what things can happen in it. And a lot of people think, well, we've run our course, we're done now. But it's not this. It's completely myopic to think that we have come anywhere. I mean, yes, we've got our in. We found the tunnel of evolution. We found this way for our will to find ourselves back in the universe. And ourselves, our individual selves, which are actually all the one same thing. I don't like the word God anymore, but it's the universe waking up, and it's coming through us, and it may be happening in other parts of the universe. I can't imagine a universe that would make things like this that wouldn't do it at least twice, maybe 3 times. Of course, it could happen a billion years before, could happen a billion years later. Some of them will definitely get wiped out by their own foolish megalomaniac concepts of what it means to be God. I mean, just because I know that I'm God doesn't mean that I can use other people as slaves, because if I'm aware that I'm God, then I'm aware that my slave's God, and then I'm using myself as a slave, which is almost like saying I don't like myself, so I force myself to do labor to make myself look like I'm something special, which I know in my ape consciousness that it's just a silly game I'm playing because I'm fucking bored. Think about war for a minute. About how the French and the English were fighting each other for who knows how long. And what does it mean? It means that instead of having any kind of regard for one another and having fair trade, you just simply decide, well, we'll steal the ships from the other fuckers, and we'll steal whatever other shit we want. And that's just childish. It's just like saying, okay, I'm bigger than you, I'm going to smash your face and take away your candy. I mean, this is a weird way to act for a god. Or what? I mean, it's like, if there was a god and we were the subjects, we've already lost, okay? But it ain't like that. I mean, it's more like a big fucking adventure. And the big fucking adventure is to see if you can wake up in the universe. And if you don't, the universe becomes a big fucking waste of space. And if you do, it becomes a big communication system, a big fuckfest. I don't know. It's pretty silly for pea-brained humans to try and figure out what's going to happen in 10 billion years, because we are so very much not prepared to understand anything about what's going to be going on in 10 billion years. So let's try and figure out today. And a lot of it's figure-outable is if we would just sit down and do something besides make stupid videos all the time. Or whatever. I don't know. Does it make any sense? Oh, I wanted to talk about communication.